renegotiate a bond issuance of 2007, and the city attorney's office was very effective on that, and they went to the market and renegotiate the interest for $22 million. We are saving $100,000 every year, beginning this fiscal year for the next 20 years, because of the reserves that we have. In 2009, we had $30 million in reserve. Today we have close to 100 million. So that's another component of the budget. And the budget also was a humane budget. It was a budget of compassion, because for the first time in 4 years we are enacting the living wage ordinance. And people that are working in the city, that have been working in the city, getting paid $9 an hour, will be making almost $12 because we have 300 of these people. We were proposing to make these people full-timers with all the benefit, but because the commission directed us to employ more police officers, we couldn't do it. But they will, number one, they have for the first time health care through the Obamacare for the first time. It cost us $2 million. And number two, they have a living wage ordinance, so like 300 workers in the city will be able to get that money. So I am very happy with the budget. I think that we are moving in the right direction. We don't think that this boom will continue forever. So we need to be prudent. We're doing the contracts with the unions. We think that we are close with the police union, where we will be probably signing a contract with the police union. To tell you the truth, one of the only issues that remains is that the administration is asking for the manager to have the authority to suspend without pay any police officers that commits a felony out of the scope of his and her work without a uniform. The union only agrees if that felony is child pornography. No murder, no rape, no. So we are drunk driving or something like that. So we are. That is a glitch. I think that we can resolve, because today the union president said that he would agree, because what we're going to do is say, well, out of the scope of your work, if you commit a felony, the manager has the power to suspend you without pay. Why is this important? Well, for them it's important. For us it's important. We have seen cases of police officers that have been at home waiting for the investigation to end or for a trial for 3 years, being paid. And just sitting at home, they cannot work in other place, but they get their full salary and benefits, and we have a lot of them. So we have that contract almost done, I think. We had a meeting today with AFME, which is the civilian employees. They will get a raise, not what they want, but they will get a raise. We had a meeting today with AFME A71, which is the solid waste workers, and at first, about 3 weeks ago, they came and they asked 2-year contract with 50% increase every year. So in 2 years, you will have a 100% increase in salaries. We said to them, "Are you crazy?" And they said, "Well, it doesn't hurt to ask." So today we spoke to them, and they will get a raise. Mind you, the solid waste workers were the only ones that were not cut in 2010 when the city cut the salaries of most of the employees. So we will have contract, which has nothing to do with the budget. We have budgeted about $5-6 million for the new contracts with the unions, and I think that the city it's on its way. In the next few days, we will be deciding with the commission the way to spend the impact fees in different parks of the city, and the parks director has been working very, very hard. Not only, and I have to say, in terms of the facilities and better. By the way, this facility was fixed because last year that part was leaking, and it had a huge problem, but it was fixed. But we are trying to do more in our parks, and understand not only is trying to work on that, but changing the culture of the parks department. Code is not code enforcement, it's code compliance, because, and this is important, our philosophy in our administration when we began is that enforcement, it's okay with those who don't care. But what we want is compliance, because if someone has a fine and doesn't do anything, it doesn't do anything for the neighborhood. So it's compliance. What we want, we'd rather get compliance than get some money for a fine. And Jessica will tell you. I will tell you. I understand that that everybody thinks, and we have. Trust me, from our office, we send code compliance at least 5 or 6 complaints a day, and they deal with it, and they don't, mostly abandoned houses and all that, but they are trying. Her inspectors are doing bar checks on Friday nights and Saturday nights, different bars or so-called cafeterias that convert to bars and become very complicated for the community, and they are having a tremendous success. Unfortunately, we don't get the time to publish the good news, and yes, sometimes. The good thing about the city of Miami is that we have been out of the front page for several months now, and that's an accomplishment. And we also talked or heard about the signs, and the legal signs, and the billboards, and all that. In the last, we'll say 5 years, because of the settlement that we have with Clear Channel, CBS, Van Gardner, all these, we have taken down in the city of Miami 230 billboards that were in the city of Miami. 230 billboards. And about 16 illegal murals. We only have now permits for 45 murals, and certain numbers of billboards or LEDs. I mean, this is the good news. The bad news is that, you know, the advertising companies are always trying to modify their version and have LEDs and all that, because the fact of the matter is that Miami sells. Miami has a population of almost $500,000, you know, I'm sorry, 500,000 residents between legals and illegals, and about 1 million by day. And advertisers see this as a very good market. But we are in the process of working with everyone. And the last thing on 79th Street, listen, Ken and Bob and everybody knows that our former Public Works Director, Serri Higawala, and now he's an assistant city manager. He had met with the people of FDOT and Alice Bravo and a lot of people in my office at least 5 times, in their office at least 10 times. They just won't listen, and they don't want to fix 8th, they don't want to fix 79, they just are doing. They said that maybe in 10 years, in the new cycle, they will do it. Finally, I would like to ask Alan Morley and Pat Santangelo just to come up just 1 second here, because Alan and Pat are the persons in our office that work with this area, D5, but also in D2, in the Omni area. They are full-time on this. Trust me, they won't get mad if you give them an earful of what we know. We have been dealing with, and I know that Frank has been doing a lot of things with floating and all that, but no, really, truly, I want you to communicate with Pat and Alan, and with me, with my office. You know, there is a culture of, okay, my commissioner is responsible. Yes, your commissioner is elected by a district, and he or she has the responsibility of looking out for the thing. But I was elected by you. I was elected citywide, so I should get the complaints also, and we do, trust me. But we can work from our office also in conjunction with the area commissioner. So thank you very much, and it's a good thing to see how people organize. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so what we're going to do, first off, it's important. This is very important. I don't think any of you guys realize how important it is that all of you are in this room. This has never occurred. I just want to let you know. This has never occurred in the city of Miami's history. There's many people sitting in this room that have never sat in some of these other, unless of course they were going to an art opening. So I'm just going to let you know. So that's how rare this is. And I want you all to really get a sense that even though there's some people who are fighting some closures for alleyways, and in some places they're needed, but in some places on the east side, it's valuable land that's being given away. And from our perspective, we don't want it cut off. We don't want our bay walk cut off, and we don't want certain things given back. So you have to understand that we have some of those issues. So what I'm going to do is we're going to go off topic. The leader of the Parks Department is here. I forget your name. I'm sorry. Mr. Molly's here. We got Megan Schmidt here from the Historic Preservation Office is here. Do we have any other city representatives here? From Commissioner Keon Hardiman's office, would you stand up, ladies, and introduce yourselves, please?
Good evening. My name is Rose DeAugustine. I am one of the Community Affairs Liaisons for Commissioner Keon Hardiman's office.
She's actually our representative up here in the Upper East Side. Is that not correct?
One.
I'm here, Gardner Hospital Community Liaison with Commissioner Hardiman's office.
Yeah, we split between North Palm Grove, well, I have North Palm Grove, Bellmead Island, and
Palm Bay.
no.
Sure.
Short, she is.
I have Short Branch and I have Bayside.
Yeah.
All right. There you go. So the thing here is now, even though we have an agenda, we're going to kind of go off that because you guys all have questions, and this is really these are the people that are been hired to work for you. Okay, so I'm going to let them ask all the questions. You're going to ask them questions because I think that you'd be bent out of shape if you left here not being able to ask them questions. So who wants to go first? Okay.
Real quick question in reference to the police officers. We had 30 hired last year. Did they go through the checks yet? Are they on? So it didn't take longer than a year.
Yeah, that's a very good question, and it's about the process. And Abra, can I give you the letter so you put it in like a frame?
Thank you.
Thank you. No, here's the way it works. They once that they are gone from the academy and they are hired, they have to go through the background check. It takes about 3 to 4 months. Then they have to go to training, and then they have to spend 8 weeks sitting next to a police officer going around and around and around until they are ready to go solo. Yes, last year, in the year, we were able to hire and put on the street 35. The chief was able to get 20 out of desk and send them also on the street. That's why we say 55 additional were patrolling.
Okay. One second.
Good afternoon, Mayor. Okay. Directors here. My name is Dan Vasquez, and you hit on a couple of major points, and I appreciate that. One is those Miami River Cups. I actually played one on TV, so I reenacted it. But the one you stated was the enforcement of our trees, and that's why I'm here today, Mr. Mayor. I'm having a big problem. My next door neighbor cut down a very large tree of mine, 40 feet oak tree, along with about 7 other trees on my property. He cut down an additional 16 trees on his property, one poinciana tree that was about 50 feet high with a 60-foot canopy. And there's been little to no enforcement on this. As required by section 17.10, which I'm going to read and recite. Fine, any person or agent thereof who removes a tree without a tree removal permit shall be fined up to $1,000 per day, per violation, for first violation, and shall be fined up to $5,000 per day, per violation, for every repeat violation for this ordinance, or a greater penalty as provided by law, and shall undergo the tree replacement process pursuant to section 17.6. Each tree removed without a tree removal permit shall constitute a separate and distinct violation subject to, a separate fine and tree replacement pursuant to section 17.6. 17.10-2, tree replacement requirement. The planting of replacement trees shall be required in addition to the monetary fines assessed pursuant to this article. The number of trees required as replacement for each tree and that was removed without a permit and provided in 17.10.2.1. Tree replacement chart as stated in 17.10.2.1. And then 17.10.4, withholding of a new building permit, the removal of any tree in violation of this article shall constitute grounds for withholding new building permits directly related to said tree removal until the violation has corrected, including payment of all fines and planting of all required replacement trees as pursuant to this section, and withholding of a certificate of occupancy. Mr. Mayor, I ask you, can you please ask the enforcement director to enforce this code?
I think that it's important. I didn't know about that person, or that site, but I think it's important that you hear from the code compliance and from the planning and zoning director, which is at the end the person that authorizes through his department all the tree mitigation, all the tree permitted, and that's why I mentioned, because I knew that it was important. It is important that there is a backlog in terms of punishment and also in terms of permitting. So I would rather give you the City of Miami Planning and Zoning Director Francisco Garcia.
Thank you, sir. Let me first ask you a question back, if that's a fair game. Are we aware of, like, if this has happened yet? In other words, has this been reported to us?
Sir, let me just
If I can, fair enough. So the moment that happens, then a mechanism for compliance is triggered, which I will defer to my colleague, the Director of Code Compliance on. What I can tell you on our end, on the planning and zoning end, is that once we are made aware, they are, in order to come into compliance, required to obtain a permit after the fact, which of course is of no consolation to you immediately, but the mitigation, so forget the fines for a moment because those will come.
That's fine.
The mitigation that comes associated with that is rather significant, and although short-term the trees have been lost, and that certainly is tragic, long-term, rest assured, a significant amount of canopy to replace the canopy that has been lost will be put in place. Regrettably, there is nothing that one can do to actually restore the canopy that's lost, but we can certainly send the message forward that whoever does it illegally, there is a price to pay.
Can I just add?
Please.
On June, this occurred May 4th, 5th, and 6th. We contacted code compliance, and many neighbors did in our area, and we did not have code compliance into our neighborhood until May 8th. Let me finish, please. Until and we're only cited for a trimming of a tree and also the removal of one tree. Subsequent to that, I went on vacation and I came back and my house looked different to find that he removed the tree it was actually trimming down when Susie over there, hi Susie, came to cite him. And, it's a complete disregard and respect for personally my property, but also the neighborhood. And the fact that no one in our neighborhood has been, we have not had any kind of success being able to enforce this issue when I've had repeated meetings, repeated emails, and nothing has been done with the exception of that they say they can't do it because they have no proof, yet we've provided many photos that show the trees removed.
Where do you live?
Morningside. 567 Northeast 57. It occurred on my property at 555. And then to say that I would be cited for a tree to be removed when I didn't remove it is a ridiculous, I would say ridiculous, basically. Because why should I be cited for a tree to be removed when indeed I did not do it and somebody else did? And then I put the city on notice telling them that he would remove my fence, and he removed an $80,000 fence, and nothing has been done.
Whoa.
Good evening, Jessica Gafu.
Hi, Jessica.
Hi. Let me just clarify some of the points that you've made. We've met in our office.
Absolutely.
In my office. We actually we have reached out to you on numerous occasions, the last one just being a couple of days ago, which Megan was there, as well as the supervisor, as well as myself, as well as police had to even go out there because you very well know to the point of escalation that this situation has taken. We had to have a police officer there. You did not come outside. We tried to meet with you because let me finish and let you finish, okay? The property was cited. The inspector went out May 6th, the day that the complaint came in. Property has been cited. More so than that, I was happy to meet with you on the property because due to the fence now being removed, we did find some tree cuttings in your property, which I wanted to discuss with you because that is part of our investigation, that tree in the middle that we cited your neighbor for, from the pictures that I have, they're all in the back of your property behind that little structure that you have. Since the fence is not there, we were able to take the pictures. And that's why we reached out to you and wanted to speak with you that day. I'm sorry that you were not available since you were on a business phone call. Megan reached out to you numerous times and you told us to wait 10 minutes. We waited close to 1 hour and we had to all leave. We didn't feel safe. Police report has been made.
Why didn't you feel safe?
We didn't feel safe and that's why the police was there and we couldn't, we were there 1 hour.
Okay, so like, I have to stop. Listen, this is about a community. This is not about your issues with the city.
No,
It's abundantly clear.
It's about Morningside community because we have not
I
had.
don't disagree with you, sir, but there's a bunch of people here who have a lot of community, and we have a whole host of things to get through.
Then just let me find out from the mayor how we want to move forward on this.
I'll be happy to brief the mayor. I will be happy to bring Director Garcia up to speed with the matter. I will be happy to meet with Megan and the director and the mayor and bring them up to speed with the matter. And you are happy to contact their office for further information, as I've been happy to reach out to you and meet with you.
However, I do not want to be disrespected here, and let me just share something before I end. And thank you. I'm sorry, what is your name?
My name is Francisco Garcia.
Francisco. To be very clear, at 2:10, I got an email about you guys being next door. We came out, Elvis and I came out no sooner than 10 minutes, and you were gone. So there was no hour there, I'm sorry. And I will see if I can have your card.
Hi, my name is Skip Mansell. Sorry I got a little bit of flu. I actually promised everybody I'm going to keep my mouth shut tonight. But,
Stand up, Skip.
fortunately, you brought up this issue of alley closures, and I don't know what was discussed because I was a little bit late, I was working. But I just want to bring up one alley closure. I'd like Francisco to make sure he hears this also. Because I went through the list, and most of them I understood. I was like, yeah, that you need to. Oh.
Either way.
Anyway, all right. Anyway, one jumped out at me, and it was on Bayshore Drive and 84th Street. I couldn't believe this. It's a 15-foot wide swath of land that is 135 feet deep. That's open bay. And they called this an alley and are dedicating it to the guy next door, the guy that owns the land in front of there. And when I said something, they said, well, he thought he bought it. I'm sorry. He paid a lot of money for his house. He gets a survey. He knows that 15 feet didn't belong to him, and he built an illegal boat down there. And the city's just going to turn this land over to him? I just find it really reprehensible considering, what we go through to try and keep a little bit of waterfront. That there's an open road there, 84th Street, when you go past 12th Avenue, opens up to the bay, and this is a really sweet, it's a 15-foot wide walk. And I think it's on 84th and Bayshore Drive is what they called it at. And actually, somebody on the Planning and Zoning Board lives right across the street. Can you imagine?
No, can I? Because I've got to go.
About the giveaway, and I was talking to Francisco, you know, if we have an alley that is waterfront, then the city won't release it.
That can't be an alley.
Simple as that. So, whatever, if it's 10, the city won't release it because the legislation is very clear. The residents or whoever, or even the city, has time to appeal. The problem is that we have gotten so many requests and complaints of people that have alleys. In Shenandoah, for instance, on 15th Street, between 17th and 18th Avenue, there is an alley that used to be used, I guess, to pick up garbage or something, or trash in the past. I remember that the trash was picked up in the back on the 60s when I lived in the Coral Way area. And there are 4 houses on that block, and these 4 houses have been burglarized at least 3 or 4 times. And the people are freaking out. They all come in from the alley. The police was there. They found mattresses and homeless there. So something has to be done. And this is part of the solution. But I guarantee you that if we see that there is an alley that could be served for the public purpose, that alley won't be released.
Just to be clear, all the alleys are closed, I agree. It was that one that jumped out, because I walk my dogs down. And I always think, why is this guy got a fenced in and a boat down?
You're up.
Good evening. My question is, I'm sorry, can someone explain the process of the closing of the alleys and what the person that you are giving this inheritance to, what is their responsibilities? I understand we have to do it.
I need you away from that.
Is it better?
That's perfect.
Okay. I went to a meeting, I think a couple of weeks ago in Little Havana, Mayor, Regalata, good to see you. And it was discussed that the homeowners whose property abuts the abandoned alleys will have to incur the cost of someone coming in to do the survey. If they want that property that they inherited enclosed by fence, they have to pull a permit and they have to pay for the fencing of that area. If there are utility poles there in the abutting of the property, and this is what was said by some of the same people here on this panel, in addition to property appraisal from Miami-Dade County. So what happens, Mayor, and I'm asking you as the Mayor of the City of Miami, what is the process? I'm not against closing the alley that abuts my property, but I was told that I don't have a choice of the matter. You know, I'm going to inherit it, and then I have to make the appeal.
Well, yeah, there is no survey required. There's no survey required. There is one by one. Each case it's going to be dealt, and the residents can appeal. The residents can reject. If you do accept the alley, you are accepting the responsibility of paying property taxes, not only to the city, but to the county and the school board, the South Florida Water Management, the regular thing that you do. And yes, you will be able to, or you will have to fence it and maintain it. It's part of your property, if you want it. If you don't want it, then it remains with the public domain. But Francisco can give you more details on that.
I'm happy to do that. Francisco Garcia, Planning and Zoning Department. And so what I will share with you, and I think this also addresses the concerns that many others have shared, both at this meeting and elsewhere, many other meetings we have had. The choice basically is between leaving many of these unimproved unused alleyways, which are, as the mayor was pointing out, the source of many issues, from simply being derelict and gathering dirt and debris, to actually, in some instances, fostering criminal activity. So the preference is to allow the property owners who have rightfully complained about the state of the alleys for a very long time, avail themselves of that land and care for it as their own. That actually is coded in the City of Miami Code. Again, if the alley is not being used for a public purpose, then the rightful property owners are the abutting property owners to whom it reverts. So what the city basically is doing, it is making all of those unimproved, unused alleyways available to the property owners abutting them. They then have a choice, and I'll end with this, and then respond to further questions if you like. They then have a choice. They have a choice to accept them and care for them, or the choice, as the mayor was pointing out, to refuse them through an appeal process, which has been provided for in the ordinance. And those who choose to refuse those alleys, then no money including them.
All right, and one other alleyway that you want to be looking at is at Northeast 61st Street that goes into Morningside. There's a street there that will come in very handy for when we do the hookup for all the parks to go through and meander through there, because if they do away with that, they just make the property owners to the left and the right, which is one 4-unit building and another one is a 12-unit building, gives them more land to go up higher, right next to Morningside. So that's another reason to look at that. That's why it's being brought up on the east side anyway.
Yes, I have a question related to both CIP and planning and zoning. Northeast 2nd Avenue, from 41st Street to 49th Street, it's ridiculous. I mean, it's like the third worst street of the third. And it's been going on for 3-4 years now. I've been told last year with CIP that it was going to happen in May. Now it's told us it's going to happen in November, December, January. Now I'm being told it's going to happen next year because of our bad road. It seems to be a consistent excuse after excuses. And we hear from the county one thing saying that the money has been allotted, but then we hear from the city that the money has not been allotted. I can tell you that there has been deaths on 2nd Avenue. I can tell you that there's potholes, and there's a quarter of businesses. Now we do understand that the renovation will affect the businesses on the short term, but we as a community want it done. It affects us. And secondly, as the design district grows and the business corridor grows, we need to address the traffic and the zoning currently in the abutting neighborhoods, as far as Brentwood, Bel Air, and Buena Vista East. We have presented to the City of Miami a traffic calming project in which we're asking for one-ways, but again, we're getting no pushback. We're getting no feedback and very much of a pushback. So that's the two things. You know, the traffic along Northeast 2nd Avenue and the construction waste. Someone can please address that. I would like to leave here with an answer for my residents.
Yep. You're up, Judy.
I'll address the Buena Vista, the one-way conversions first. The reason why the project has been placed on hold is because of the ballot process. There's not concurrence. The overall concurrence has not been achieved as per the Miami-Dade County requirements.
The what?
The ballot? No, they weren't favorable. No.
Explain that. What?
Just let me clarify something for everyone. Everyone here, I need you guys to listen to me. About a year and a half ago, as a neighborhood, we did a ballot initiative. We were told that in order for us to get our one-ways, the neighborhood needs to vote. So basically, 300 ballots was mailed out to 300 residents. And 65% of the residents, 65% of those who responded said yes. Again, 300 mailed out, 100 responded, 65% said yes. Now, I don't know math, but 65% is a high number in any case. But again, what we were told afterwards is, no, even though overall 65% said yes, we have certain streets which they did not get, which had less turnout. So overall the community wanted it, but because 1 or 2 streets said no, our project was stopped. And again, it's excuses after excuses. Because this is going on 2 years and we're still asking for clarification. We're asking for meetings to discuss it. We're asking for meetings to address it, but it's still not going on. So my question to you is, yes, on a case by street, on a street by street basis, we didn't get what a wall we did. And I can tell you, the mayor was there, commissioner was there. A 65% turnout is great. Our election turnout is 20%. So when 65% of, when 30% of residents respond, to me that's a great turnout. And when 65% says yes, but you're telling me that because of 1 or 2 residents, that my entire community suffers, I don't agree with that.
That's right.
Wait a minute. Who sets the rules? That's the question. No.
They change it as they need.
But is it the city or the
Okay,
county?
okay. Go ahead.
Yes, I only wanted to add a brief note, and hopefully it's a positive note. Frankly, what my takeaway from the meeting tonight is, and we've discussed this previously with some of you in the area, to the extent that we can walk away from today's meeting with the understanding that we will all engage, and the city will certainly engage with you in some sort of an area-wide, community-wide visioning process to understand what the priorities are, and we're certain that you will hold us to fulfillment of whatever commitments we make. That is of invaluable value to us, or use to us, because to the extent that we understand what the community's preferences are, to the extent that we understand what support there is for each specific initiative, and we will be very frank with you in telling you what we can and cannot deliver, or what else we need to bring to the board so as to be able to deliver, because sometimes, as you will know, it is not only up to us, no matter how well we may want to do, and no matter what our institutional impediments and challenges may be, which there are many, let's be frank about it. So let's by all means engage in this process. Let's by all means get a vision together and then hold us to follow up.
All right, what about
Second
Second Avenue? What about Second Avenue? What about Northeast Second Avenue? All right, so Northeast Second Avenue. 5 years. 5 years. 5 years. My poor car, accidents, people getting hit by cars.
Because this has been going back and forth. And what Commissioner Edmondson has said is that the money's been allotted, the money for design was given, okay, to design the roadway. Then I met with Art Noriega to make sure that there's parking along there, because that's another nightmare.
Yeah,
Okay?
big time.
Your boss, Mark Spignoli, has been out there personally with me to look at it, and I got news for you. I drive a small car too. You go off to the side of the road to park, you're gonna lose the axle on your car.
Yep.
It is amazing that nobody has sued the city.
It's
yet.
crazy.
Absurd. So, what Commissioner Edmondson said is that she hadn't given the money yet to the city to start the construction on it, because you guys haven't finished the planning of it. So where do we stand?
Okay, I'll get into the specifics. Northeast Second Avenue, as you know, has been in design for a while. There has been, the project is basically broken up into 5 segments.
Okay.
The first segment is from 20th Street to 36th Street. The other segment is from 36th Street to 42nd, which is a design district. That has been finished with ARA funds. The segment from 42nd to 51st, which we're currently designing now, is the one that's closest to going to construction. We've had various issues with the designer, so we're actually presently getting now a new designer, and we anticipate beginning construction of that in January of 2015.
January of
2015. There is a, our deputy director, our deputy city manager has been working with the county closely and pushing the project forward to making sure that we don't have any issues on it, so that we can move forward, bid it out, and be in construction in January of next year. And that is probably one of the worst sections now. Then the other segment, as you probably well know, 51st to 69th, that was already been constructed. That's in the Lemon City, Little Haiti area. That received the ARA funds, that was constructed well. And then the other segment is 69th to 84th. Our plan right now is to proceed with the plans we have from 42nd to 54th to be in design by next year, early next year, 2015.
In design?
The other,
What does in design mean? What does in design mean? Because you've already done 36th Street to 41st Street. Then you did
Skipped
52nd
us,
Street
and then,
to
yeah, they skipped
62nd
the middle
Street.
part.
But what is in, for us that doesn't understand, what does in design mean? Like
well,
you have to
it's
go
basically
drawn
the
out?
plans drawn out,
But
yes.
you've already done it.
Yes, and we're going to be bidding the project out, and we're hoping we can start construction. We're hoping January of 2015.
But it's already
Okay,
done.
okay, listen, guys.
That's what I'm understanding.
Yes,
They
Frank?
already designed it.
If you're that close, there has to be at least 50% plans, right? You gotta have at least 50%, if you're gonna be.
We have now, the way we're moving forward, we have 100% plans, we're bidding it out. The conventional bidding method does take a while.
I understand. So you have 100% plans now?
Yes.
Have those plans been provided to the public, and anybody get them?
Yes.
Yeah, how can we obtain them?
Are they online?
Okay, wait a minute, one at a time. So this is the request. The request is this. In the next 2 weeks, you guys get the plans together, they'll set up a meeting, and everybody can come look at it. So that's how we're gonna end that conversation, because we'll be here all night with like.
But let me ask you this, if there are 100% plans, are there parking, is there parking on Second Avenue?
Parking from the segment from 42nd to 51st, there is parking proposed on the east side of the roadway.
The east side, so the businesses that are on the
West side. The sidewalk
are
will be.
gonna lose all that parking where their restaurant people come?
They don't
It's
have
my
any
understanding that
parking.
the businesses have requested a wider sidewalk.
Right.
It's actually better for 2 reasons.
Right,
It lets the area be more walkable.
Yeah.
I understand, I just wanted to understand the design. In
Okay,
other words,
no, but listen, this is a problem-solving issue, not creating more, okay? Because we all got it, that there's obviously something missing here, and we're trying to pull it
And
all
what does
together.
Vista East need to do, so since we got 65% to vote yes, but we need a super majority, what is that super majority number?
We've, as you know, as you remember, we've already met with you. What I would like to do is have another meeting with you so that we can go over the votes and work with you to see what we can do to try to get it up to the concurrence that we need to
And that would
pass
be
by the
you,
council.
that would be you, the guys to the east of you?
That's
Just you. Oh, for the streets one way.
So then can we do that next week?
We can do that. We can, after the meeting right now, I'll give you my card and we can set up that meeting.
but as you, listen, as you take, if the designs take the parking away from Second Avenue on either side, you push that parking into those neighborhoods. Because there is no other parking. So you've got those commercial buildings, you've got the restaurants that are there, that are commercial and are required to have parking.
They'll be parking on the east side,
And
you
if you're
said.
doing,
Right?
what you're saying, who made the decision that those businesses no longer have to have parking? If there's no parking on the west side, somebody had to say zoning-wise, that you no longer have to have parking for those restaurants.
It's also a county road, and we get what we call a typical section, which is basically what width of the lanes we're putting, how many lanes, where the parking spots go, and et cetera. We get that approved by the county.
Yeah,
I understand, but the city has requirements for parking for the businesses. And those businesses had parking that made them legal on Second Avenue. So if the road was, and I understand the road is designed in concert with the county, okay? But what I don't understand is how could the decision be made that those businesses no longer are required to have parking?
That I'm not sure of. I don't know if
Well, I mean, there's planning and zoning. I mean,
perhaps help
I'm
us out.
saying you're pushing those cars, because obviously we all want the businesses to survive.
Correct. I don't know the exact rules for when the businesses need to have a certain amount of spots or whatever.
They can't be there without parking. They either have to have it on site or they have to have a deal somewhere. There's got to be
It's my
parking.
understanding that they will be using the parking on the east side of the roadway.
Then what are the customers?
Well, it's not enough. There's not enough. If you count up the restaurants and you count what's required for parking, there's not enough. So those restaurants are going to be non-compliant, and then what's he going to do, shut them down?
No, they're gonna.
I think,
They're gonna park.
and, you know,
It's gonna park right in front of the
well,
house.
that was an issue also that was brought up when I met with Mr. Spignoli as well. Is the fact that they should be parking on both sides. That's great that they want wider sidewalks to accommodate their restaurants, but they're not
It's
paying for
actually
them.
also due to some right-of-way concerns that we have.
Okay, well, I'm just,
Yeah,
it's,
right-of-way on some of the
hey, listen, we're having the same fight on my mo, because there's not enough parking. So this is not like we create the wheel. These are problems that you're gonna face on Second Avenue, Miami Avenue, Northwest Second Avenue. You're gonna, the whole thing, I just said that, I just said the boulevard. So this isn't like we're recreating the wheel. These are actual concerns being voiced by people who live there, who know the ramifications, And sometimes we feel like we would be better off talking to the wall. And it's not you guys most of the time. Most of your hands are tied as well. But the thing is you need to tell us why your hands are tied so we can go beat up the people that are tying your hands. At DOT, we're really great at kicking their ass. So, just, we know what we need to do, but you need to tell us that they're holding us up. Is that not correct?
Bob, listen.
Yeah.
There are solutions that the city will not listen to. We don't have the trolleys up there. We don't have the transportation. We don't have the parking garage.
That would be something that would really solve, like a parking garage or something like that would really solve
We used to have
a
a
lot of
trolley.
those issues. Okay, guys, we're gonna this is all committee stuff. So let's take this up in committee in 2 weeks. No, really, this is committee stuff. Thank you very much for telling us what you needed to tell us.
Okay, back to, we have a demolition problem and we need an answer to it. We were told once that there were certain houses, like they had like the 10 top houses to be demolished. I guess this is code enforcement compliance, right?
Yes.
Okay, when is that project going to start back up? Because we have houses that are abandoned and then become an environmental issue. You have big rats walking down the street coming out of there. It went right across in front of me. And I noticed that you put like notices on, and that notice after notice, and then that's all I see happen. I know there's a process, but how close are we?
That process is through the building department, and unfortunately, I won't be able to answer that question because that's done through the unsafe structure.
Okay, one more little thing. I know that the Art Basel is coming, and we don't want to be overlooked this time. There's the Cosi Center. I know there's little opportunity for that to come into our neighborhood where I live, but I know Cosi Center and the Cultural Arts Center would appreciate some of that. I don't know who that goes to, but that's just a little issue I just wanted to put out there. Well, the commissioners, people, representatives are here, so you heard that, right?
All right, you're welcome.
And Bob, you did a great job.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Any more questions?
And you too silly.
Okay, so one of the things that I wanted to do with this meeting was, and I asked Jessica to do this, and they don't do this generally, was to introduce the code enforcement officers that do the code enforcement in the different districts. Because sometimes I want to put a face with the names so you know who they are. And this is not beat up code enforcement officer day, so we're not going to do that. We're simply going to introduce them and let them know that they come to serve you and work with you. And I'm going to let Jessica do that introduction. Then I'm going to close with Francisco Garcia. I think we're done with all of you guys. And what we're going to do is we're going to start to start up chardettes for our different neighborhoods where we have problems with zoning. And he's already offered to do that. The other thing I want to bring to your attention that is in 2 weeks, all the presidents and vice presidents, 2 people only from each homeowners association, we're meeting, all the people that were on that list, to go over all of this stuff that we presently have gone through, and then to start to correlate a lot of this information and pull all these people together and hopefully be a much more driving force in trying to get some of these things answered. So here we go, Jessica.
Hi. To my left is my assistant director, Daniel Sierra. Behind me is the north office, the whole north area supervisor, Michelle Watts. And then I'm going to let the 2 inspectors that came here tonight, unfortunately, the other one that was going to come had a family emergency and had to leave early. I'm going to let them introduce themselves and tell you exactly the area that they cover.
My name is Kamshu Sketam. You can call me Susie. I cover from 38th Street, Northeast 2nd Avenue, to 71st Street to the Bay, cover Bay Point, Morningside.
Hi, and I'm Brenda Mergildo Barmo. I cover from 71st Street all the way to 87, from Northeast 2nd Avenue all the way to the Bay. I have the interesting area of the city of Miami, which I adore very much.
That's great. No, really. And I know. I know you do. All right, ladies, that's really what I wanted you to do, because now you have a face with the names. And, well, she's the top dog in all this. Okay, she runs the show. Okay, and she makes her look good. That's how that works. Okay. Michelle Watts. Here, Michelle, you introduce yourself.
My name is Michelle Watts Slayton. I'm the North Code Compliance Supervisor. We cover Model City, Little Haiti, Net, and the Upper East Side area. So we're going from
36th Street to the
38th Street to Northeast and Northwest, Northeast 87th Street, Northwest 71st Street, and then from 19th Avenue to the Bay. Okay.
Big area.
All right.
Thank you very much, ladies. Thank you.
And just on a quick note, we actually will have 10 new, we just closed up, we're hoping to hire 10 new code compliance inspectors. So we understand the shortage, and hopefully in the very near future, we'll be able to put some inspectors in more of the areas. Also, in reference to the abandoned houses, I know that it's a citywide concern that we have and that we address. Our GSA department is the one that helps us to board these properties up, and I invite you. I'm going to leave some business cards out. I work closely with a lot of the people that are here today representing the different homeowner associations. Please, I really invite you to reach out to me, and we cannot board every single one of them up. We can do the very best that we can with the resources that we have in the city, but if you reach out to me, and there's sometimes they're close to schools, sometimes it's police has been there numerous times. We try to do, some that are 2 stories, we try to at least secure the bottom part. So if you please reach out to us, we will do the very best in boarding some of these properties up. Also with the new code compliance team we have, and I want to show you what we're going to be leaving in some of the properties that we cannot meet with the residents when they're there. We came out with some courtesy door hangers that we're going to be placing for several quality of life concerns, facade, the lawn, cars parked, unimproved, stuff like that. We're going to leave courtesy notices out so that you can reach out to your area inspector and work with them closely one-on-one. You'll be having their direct number so that you can reach out to them and contact them. Our office is always available, so please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And with that, I'm going to give you Francisco Garcia, and this is really about zoning issues. So, and we're going to have Chardettes on this actually, because this is going to require a little bit more time than we presently have here. I just want him to introduce himself. He mostly brought maps of mostly the Upper East Side, and I think, Jackie, your neighborhood is included in that. Yeah. But most of the rest of you aren't included in some of these, so I apologize in advance for that. So, without further ado, here you go. Here you go, Francis. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll be brief, of course, and I really came to answer questions more so than to provide any information today. I did bring some maps that I'm happy to leave behind if you care to have them, or happy to take them back to the office. Really, the one thing I would request, to the extent that you are interested, hopefully you will continue to be committed to work toward the improvements of the area generally.
Guys.
We in the Planning and Zoning Department are really best served by working on a vision that is shared. We've had, and I'm not embarrassed to say it, we've had failures in this particular community in the past because we failed to garner consensus amongst the many residents, because there are competing interests sometimes, and there are differences of opinions sometimes, and those are legitimate. Our challenge many times is to make sure that we at least get a consensus as to what the desires of the community are, so that we can then, using that as a roadmap, work towards improving the conditions that are presently unsatisfactory. So we get it. Improvements can be made. we are actually encouraged by the amount of people that turned up tonight, and I know that you have very active, because we meet them on a regular basis, very active community leaders that interact with us on a regular basis, and it is their frustration that represents your frustration that we get to hear on a regular basis. That said, I'll tell you briefly what the maps show, and I invite you to look at them and ask me questions about them either today or in the future.
Ladies and gentlemen, please, let's be patient and give the man his time.
I'll be very quick. I'll simply point them out to you. They show the land use designations within the Upper East Side. And again, I was under the impression that the meeting would be about the Upper East Side. Clearly, some of your areas are not included. But we're certainly happy to provide this information in exactly the same fashion to any of you who would want it. So it might be of use, and I'm going to suggest this, to the extent that there are neighborhood association presidents here tonight, to ask us in the Planning and Zoning Department to produce these maps for your particular neighborhood. Absolutely, we can. We're happy to do it. And they will show land use designations, zoning designations. This one, which I think is of particular interest and might interest many of you, shows the age of the structures on each of the properties within your neighborhoods. This is an area-wide that we have here, and so each of these colors is actually coded in the legend and shows when the original building was built, and if there has been a replacement of that original building with a new building, it will show that as well.
And those are the historic.
And these are, of course, and this, by the way, not lost on Bob Powers, I'm sure, but this is certainly the largest aggregation of historic districts within the city of Miami. And that doesn't just mean that they were settled first. That means that they were settled first, or amongst the first, but also that they were kept in very good order. They've been maintained and preserved over the years to the extent that they deserve, they merit historic designation. They have been designated historically by the
There's a little section up here in Shorecrest that doesn't show on this, unfortunately. Because Shorecrest has a little tiny historical pocket.
And we'll update that as well. And I'll close with that, but I would certainly be remiss if I didn't tell you, given that many of your neighborhoods are of a historic nature and of historic character, that are not so new anymore, but you've been with us for about 5 months, 6 months now. Megan Schmidt is the preservation officer, and so very glad to work with all of you to the extent that that's needed. And with that, I'll answer any questions. Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions? Okay, the show's over. Drive carefully. Have a wonderful evening. We'll see you in 2 weeks.